Okay, so with step number 2, guys, you're gonna have to decorate one piece of felt at a time. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to decide which do you want to be the front and which do you want to be the back. Okay, whatever you decide that you want to be the front is the piece that you're really going to be working with. The back you can kind of just put in your bag for right now. You won't need it. So I'm going to say this light brown one is going to be the front of my monster. So I, in my last step, went through and I cut out the extra little pieces that I was going to use. Okay, you just have to have a face, so eyes, mouth, nose is kind of optional, and then you have to have one extra. I choose mine to be the heart. So now that I have these kind of out of paper already, I then needed to go over to the scrap fabric bin, and I needed to pick up some scrap fabric to kind of finish off my pieces. So for my eyes, I decided I really wanted those gray. Okay, again, we're trying not to waste felt. Okay, so when you are cutting out your pieces, try to put them on the edge as much as possible. Don't put in the middle of the felt, so we're wasting. So I decided my eyes, I wanted to be this gray color. So I'm gonna pin my eyes down to this gray piece of felt. Okay. Then I decided with my heart, I was going to do a pink little heart. So I'm going to, again, edge of my fabric. I am going to pin the heart down. Okay. And then I decided with my teeth, I want the background to be yellow, and then I'm going to get a different piece of felt color for the teeth. So to start with, we're going to start with the yellow, so I'm just going to pin that down as well. Okay, so whatever pattern you chose to do, you will be doing this with your pieces as well. Okay, so you just have to pick what colors you want your monster to be. From there, I'm now just going to go through and I'm going to cut these pieces out. As you're cutting through, if you notice there's not really any scraps that someone else can use, like this pink little heart, there's not going to be a lot left over that's going to be usable for anyone. You can throw this little piece away in the trash can, okay? But if they're big sheets of felt, then those need to go back in the container in the front of the room for your classmates to use. Okay, so I got my heart, so I will unsafety pin it, and the first thing I've got is my heart. Okay, so then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cut out my eyes. And you could be creative with these eyes if you wanted to. So when you look at this pattern, there's kind of two parts to it. You've got this upper part and this bottom part. You could really make these two different colors if you want. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my thread and I will probably use like the back stitch and I will kind of sew this line in instead of using two different color fabrics. Alright, so now my eyes are cut out, so I will take my pins off. And I've got my eyes. If I wanted to, I could cut out like a little circle and make little eyeballs. It's up to you. Alright, this is a big piece of felt that someone else could use. So now I will take this back and I will throw that into the container. Last thing I'm going to do is my mouth here. Okay, so I will cut around here. My circle. Alright, and then I will unpin my mouth. Alright, from here I now want to make my teeth. So for my teeth I kind of have to decide what color I want to do. I think I might just use gray again. So for my teeth I am just going to give this quick little cut. Okay, and then I'm just going to pin it on my gray. If you did not want to cut out the teeth, again, you could just use your thread and you could just outline your teeth with your thread. So there's a lot of different options that you can do, a lot of customization. You just have to decide, what do you want to do, what are you comfortable doing, and how do you want your monster to look. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now I've got some teeth that I can put on my mouth. Okay. Alright, so from here I will just clean up my mess a little bit. These two I would go put back in the scrap fabric, and these patterns I can kind of just set to the side. Okay. Alright, once I have this done, I can kind of start thinking about where I want things. So I said previously that I would put my eyes up here, so I'm going to pin those on. Okay, and I'm just going to reference back to my template of where I said I was going to put things. Okay, then I said I was going to put my heart down here, so I'm going to pin my heart on. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm going to wait to pin these on, okay? I'm waiting to pin these on because I want to sew my teeth onto the background of my mouth before I actually pin it down, just to make it a little bit easier to sew, okay? So part 2, step 1 is you're just going to start decorating, and you'll go through with your different stitches that you said you wanted to do and start stitching away. Alright, so I've gone through and I have kind of decided what my different parts are going to be. Again, with my eyes, these are the eyes that I decided to do. And I took it a little bit farther just to be a little bit more creative. I decided I wanted his brow to be one color, and then the background of his eyes were going to be gray. And then I even then cut out these little circles here so that he could have some more defined little eyes. So if you decide to do multiple things like that, that is fine, but it is just going to be an additional step. So before I could sew my eyes down to the main part of my monster, I am going to want to sew my eyeballs onto this gray part, okay? So what I would do is anything that you're going to sew onto another piece of fabric, I would want to use a pin, and I'm going to pin that down. All right, and then I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick a stitch, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to attach my eyeball here to the gray part of my eye. I will continue doing this all the way around, knot it, and then I will pin the other eye on here, continue sewing. And then once I've got all my eyes permanently on here, I then can attach it to the front of my monster, and now I can sew the gray part onto the front of my monster and then go back and put the eyebrows on. Okay, so if you are doing multiple layers, you are going to have to start with the outer layer, sew that on, and then work your way backwards. Alright, so in step part 2, okay, I have finished decorating my little monster here. You will notice the front looks nice and pretty with all my stitches, and the back is where I have knotted everything. Okay, so I gave mine eyebrows, my eyes, my eyeballs, I gave him a mouth, and then I just used the thread to stitch some sides of his mouth, and then I put my extra on my heart. Make sure that you have used at least 2 of the stitches here, okay? So I mainly stuck with the running stitch here, the back stitches used right here on the gray, you've got the running stitch on the maroon, I used the back stitch here for his mouth, the back stitch here on the gray, the running stitch on the yellow, and then the back stitch on the pink, okay? And I planned on using the overstitch to connect the two patterns, okay? If you choose to decorate the back, okay, it is not required, but please make sure you are decorating the correct side. Okay, so what I mean is line them up and kind of see which is going to fit properly with your front of your monster. Okay, so if I line mine up, I would notice that this is the side I want to decorate. Okay, so back of your monster is not required. That is optional if you are choosing to do it. If you are behind on your project, I would not decorate the back, and I would just stick with the front. Okay, so that is part 2.